Ole Miss travels to Gainesville. 10.5 point spread right there. Ole Miss is favored, obviously, for a pretty good reason here, but Florida? Is Florida a top 25, top 30 caliber football team with just an absolutely gauntlet schedule?
I mean, with the way DJ Lagway is playing, I mean, he came for. I mean, we all saw what happened against Georgia, right? I mean, you saw the car, you saw the tears, you saw how upset everybody was. It felt like it was game over for them this year for DJ Lagway in terms of a long rehab ahead of him, the hamstring, a complete tournament. That's a brutal recovery, and he came back a couple weeks later. There was rumors he was going to play against Texas, and obviously they could have absolutely used him in that game. But you saw the difference he made against LSU. They got a couple of really good running backs right now. Their defense is playing and really getting after people. Almost 7 sacks against LSU. Is that what it was at? I mean, holy cow! Against a damn good front there for them. It's been fun. I think Florida. We talked about them a lot this offseason, and the first thing you talk about was their schedule. It sucks. This, but their schedule, and so that's kind of what was looming over their head. And now they're getting into November, and all of a sudden, it looks, I think, a little bit more favorably than it was going to at the beginning of the year.
They're
Obviously,
going to
you
probably
didn't
make a
have.
bowl game.
Yeah, you just got to beat Florida State. And this game is, too, also winnable. It's also winnable at home. I think the Swamp is going to be fired up. I think that, obviously, announcing, Billy Napier is going to be the guy still. And then, getting that win last week at home against LSU, I think they're going to be really, really vitalized. And they know this is an elimination game for Ole Miss. They beat them. Ole Miss is probably out. And it's going to be really, really interesting here to see, what goes on, how fast they start, because we saw early in the season they were not getting out to good starts at all. But as we slowly got more and more in the season, they started playing a little bit better early on, a little bit more prepared, and it's been paying dividends, I think.
I think so. But with that said, I'm going to lay the points with Ole Miss here because I just think they're in kind of ascension mode right now. They are playing the best football I think in the SEC, and I don't think that's crazy to say. Offensively, they look good. Defensively, they're still getting after quarterbacks. Yeah, they had to slip up to Kentucky early in the season. All right. Yeah, they lost to LSU in a game that they absolutely should have freaking won. Okay, and LSU that loss looks even worse now. Week to week. But I still think Ole Miss is really good. That's a team that I don't want to play. Right? If I am you know, it's
So,
unfortunate that Ole Miss doesn't really have a lot of tiebreakers. When it comes to this stuff. But man, they might be the beneficiary of that. Not basically getting a bye week. They might be hosting a playoff game if they win out here and they'd get a bye week essentially because they don't have to play in the conference championship game, you know? So, because if you play in the conference championship game and then lose it, then you have to play the conference championship game and then you don't get a bye week, right? Because the bye week I'm saying is essentially not playing in the conference championship game. I think Ole Miss has a lot to play for right now. Those boys are buzzing. Lane Kiffin is going to be dialed this game because let's be real, next week it's the Egg Bowl. It's a big game, but it's not exactly the biggest look ahead spot. I think for them as a coaching staff. So I like Ole Miss in the spot minus 10.5, even though I think Florida could definitely win this game.
yeah, I'm with you here. I think Ole Miss is just a really, really good football team right now. It'll be interesting to see if they do get into the playoffs and where they're going to be at because, yeah, like you said, nobody wants to play them right now. I think Florida falls into a similar category in terms of you don't want to see them on their schedule. I mean, LSU found out because, like, if you lose to Florida, you're obviously losing to a very talented football team in a potential hostile environment. But you're gonna look at the record and like the perception nationally, and it's gonna be like, oh, we lost to Florida. Like, what's that all about? And it's gonna could be pretty tough. So this is not a good spot for Ole Miss because this is, I think, an elimination game. But here's the thing: I talked about Florida, getting better defensively, and they have, I think, too. But they are second to last in the SEC in rush yards per game given up, 163. Right, and the last team is Mississippi State. It's a whole other problem. But what Ole Miss, if they can really get after on the ground there, and you saw what they did honestly against Georgia, and really be able to pound that rock at times when they needed to, over 130 yards on the ground in that game. Get Jackson Dart going, maybe get Bentley, Thomas, and those guys. really getting after it. You can control this football game, go on the road and get a stop or get a win and kind of jump on them early, quiet that crowd, make Lagway play from behind a little bit where he's not comfortable. Let your pass rushers do exactly what they did to Georgia and really get after the quarterback. Ole Miss was a team that, well, first of all, they're coming off a bye too, which is really nice. I think that's a great time for them to have a bye. But they were also a team that in October, you had no idea who you were getting. You had no idea. It was up and down all along. It was lose to Kentucky, blow out South Carolina. You play great for two and a half quarters against LSU, and then blow that game, and then struggle with Oklahoma at times. And all of a sudden, they flipped the switch here in November, and like you said, they're playing fantastic football. Yeah, I think they don't need style points. I kind of said that I think a couple weeks ago, and that maybe they would, but where they're at right now in the rankings, and we'll see where we're recording this Tuesday morning, so we'll see where they fall this week with teams ahead of them potentially losing, and see where the committee likes them. But yeah, I think this is a spot where they can just keep winning out, get a 14-point win here, go in the swamp and get out. I think that'd be a very impressive win for them, and I'd continue to bump them on my personal rankings here.